My name is Yamira Salazar. For this week, we went over managing diversity in terms of the ethical, lethal, media, and marketing issues. I will be answering questions for this assignment and giving my best opinion and answers. The first one is going to be the Watchmark Cognito Cooperation has undergone significant changes since their case of outsourcing. They were renamed Valent Cooperation and later were acquired by IBM. This shows the competitive nature of the software industry. Based on this knowledge, examine the outsourcing actions taken by Watchmark Cognito from the dentological and teleological perspective. So Valent is a cooperation and it is privately held software company based in Bellevue, Washington, with more than 400 employees. So IBM announced the definitive agreement to acquire Valent on November 28, 2006. Valent will be integrated into the IBM Software Group's Tivoli software unit. This software helps service providers manage any performance, such as network infrastructure, through monitoring and reporting problem areas like dropping telephone calls or traffic bottlenecks. Next, presenting an argument that is easier for employers to comply with diversity legislation in Canada than in the United States. So what that means is valuing diversity, we mean valuing, respecting, and appreciating the differences such as age, culture, education, experiences, race, sexual orientation, that make people different, unique. And then the definition has to do with valuing the differences, and it is the frame of mind. It's a way of thinking rather than a result. It is important because if we were to think of diversity as in a result and not a way of thinking, such an approach to lead false conclusions. Like, we might observe the workforce as a diverse and then be tempted to infer that the valuing of diversity has led to the workforce composition. Yet we all recognize that the diverse workforce could be explained by many other factors such as poor work conditions, maybe being tardy to work, or not even showing up at all, or lacking in the workplace. Okay? One of the biggest differences in the U.S. focuses on civil rights framework, and in Canada, they focus on its human rights. So the U.S. has civil rights and equal opportunity offices that can complain and addresses issues. Canada does not have similar types of legislations or requirement. They focus on human rights. Human rights are different from civil rights because civil rights are the fact that your country has laws that provide you rights. But if those laws don't exist, then the rights don't exist. Such as human rights is the idea that simply because you are a human, these are your rights and they are expected. And it is not based on laws that are very unique and different. Okay. So, and because human rights within the Canada, everyone is able to go to the office and bring forward complaints based on specific aspects of the human rights code: race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity. Now, in the U.S., some of those areas are embedded within civil rights legislation and policies, but they were adjudicated, the way they're examined, the way the complaint process works is very different than Canada. Okay, and my next question is, selecting a source of media as outlined and exercised in media diversity. Comment on the question listed in the textbook for the media option. So I decided to go with social media. So in more countries, email and online chatting ranked high in importance. And business interchanges individuals and group social media. It is very cultural in transmission. Social media is used in the workplace a lot. Emails, you email your coworkers, you email your bosses, you email whoever you need to through your workspace, as well as chatting. There is teams as well that you could chat. Different sources of social media, such as Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Foursquare, YouTube, and many more. Social networking has many sites in the U.S., and they are high in the U.S. So who visits social media sites in the equal or greater percentage than large social media survey found more than immigrant and visible minorities than other Canadians to be not just tuning in, but creating content across social media sites. And even though the ethnic users are high and have an extremely low percentage, internet startups are founded by them. 1% each African Americans and American Indians, 7% of other races, 12% of Asian Americans, 87% of Caucasians. So social media's preference vary by socioeconomic level in the U.S. Approximately 65% of this with incomes that are 75,000 net worth, compared to only 48% of those with income under 30,000. Households that have income 75,000 are most likely in LinkedIn. Those with incomes under 50,000 favor MySpace. Hair 2009. The age difference in networking are marked. Some young people have huge networks, which often are evidence of social acceptance or prestige. Now, older people, they maintain smaller and more concentrated networks, such as unexpected social emotional selective theory, which predicts that when time seems expansive as it does to young people with knowledge, goals guide social preference, and when time seems limited as it does for elders. Okay.